Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the BluF. That's the bottom line up front. I'm your host, Todd. This is FP. Very little facts going to our podcast. This is mostly our opinion. Shout out to Jared Waters. What we doing today, FP?
JW, we miss you. We love you. You're a great boss. Today I was just thinking, man, there is something going on in today's education that I think needs to be blatantly spoken about.
Such
as the lukewarm education that our children are getting in public school based around the topic of finances.
Okay. So, is it that you don't agree? Would you like your kids to be in public school, private school, or charter school?
Well, riddle me this, Batman. When's the last time you had a class in public school on how to take out a loan, how to use a credit card, how to cancel out debt, how to be an entrepreneur? Why don't they teach our kids that in public school?
I'm not really sure because my son just finished taking, financial responsibilities? No, let me think. The name of the course is Personal Finance. So he's in high school and he just took that course this past semester. So I'm not sure everything that they do, but at the basis they learn about checking accounts, saving accounts, debit cards.
That's major.
A little bit about responsible credit and a little bit of debt management. So at this stage they are doing it a little bit in the public schools. I'm not sure about private schools.
That's good to know because I don't know about you, but I know in my life, growing up on the streets that I grew up on, the public schools that I went to, which were really good. They taught in no diameter on the topic of finances. And it's funny that you asked this question, Todd Thomas.
Okay.
Because I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow Quadrant, and he's also the author that wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. And if you get opportunity, please read this book. But he goes into almost it being a conspiracy. You know, I love my conspiracies.
Oh yeah.
That in the early 1900s, before there was a board of education, each town had its own schoolhouse.
Okay.
So it was basically the focal point of the town, and the schoolhouse would teach on local history, world history, would teach on arithmetic, math, and they had control of the education of that small town. Well, Robert Kiyosaki in his book was talking about in the early 1900s, John D. Rockefeller came in and was asked to be ahead of the board to create this board of education that went nationwide. And why would they ask the richest guy on the planet at the time to run the board? And it's funny that you asked that question, Todd, because he came up with a curriculum just to build worker bees.
Okay.
So I don't know how much fact is in this, but I mean, you can just, if you're a public school kid, you'll know, all our viewers out there would know that you weren't getting taught about finances in public school. And the reason was because the Board of Education, it was never a part of their curriculum, because John D. Rockefeller basically told the board, look, this is what we need. We need working class. We need worker bees. So you need to teach them on geometry. You need to teach them a little of physics, a little bit of earth sciences. But when it comes to being an entrepreneur, no.
So let me get this straight. So you're saying that the Board of Education, in its inception, had very little education. It's all about working, but no knowledge, because they're going to a guy that was already
That's exactly what I'm saying.
successful and rich.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because you got to think, the infrastructure was being built in the early 1900s still. You know, we had the first car in the early 1900s, so they needed people to build the infrastructure. You don't need people to be entrepreneurs, even though, America was based upon capitalism. They didn't need entrepreneurs. Rockefeller needed worker bees. He needed people that would go out there and plow the roads, cut the trees down, put up the power lines, He needed people that would lay down railroad tracks. So it's unfortunate that the public schools in America were based upon this premise. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.